Hello everyone, welcome to the 3 Ways with Glenn and Sandy. So I'm gonna wait for them till they connect. The 3 ways, as we always share, 3 ways, 3 different ways of perspectives, visions of life, meanings of life. We all have different approaches, so we have fun sharing with you our different perspectives. Hello Sandy. Ciao baby. It's working.
Yeah, it works. I'm in a different place on a different iPad.
Amazing. It's so nice to see you. Okay, I'm gonna accept Glenn. Hi guys.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Hello everybody.
Hello. How are you?
All good, and you?
I'm good. I just did a workout. I'm sort of on vacation. I'm in Chicago. Yesterday I did a presentation at a corporate event. So today is workout morning before I get on an airplane.
And we love working out. Also, you work out in a different way, Sandy. I love what you do. Your exercises are so much about equilibrium and magic of the bodies merging. It's super cool.
Thank you so much. You know, we've never met in person, but Francesca and Glenn, I'm going to put you both, even at the same time, but I'm going to put you both upside down on my feet. It's going to blow your mind.
I can't wait. I would love to do it.
Hello. You're right. You're going to say that one more time? We have an HMI. That's a Trisha Carr.
Hi, HMI. Oh, hi, Trisha.
Yeah.
Glenn,
Hi.
I am going to, Trisha taught me a whole bunch about podcasting. Thank you, Trisha. Glenn, I am going to put you upside down on my feet.
Okay.
And I'm going to spin you around, and I'm going to spin you around, and I'm going to rock your world.
You know, I could take both of you in one hand and lift both of you up and just bench press you in the air. That's what I could do. So I'll show you how it's done.
I really like where this show is going.
Yeah.
So we have Christine with us. Ciao Christine.
Hello.
Hello. Who do we have?
My name is Christine. I'm calling from Denmark.
Amazing.
Hi, Christine.
Hi Christine.
A pleasure to meet you.
So nice to meet you. How do you know about us? Tell us.
I have followed you a bit for some times. Some of you, I think.
So beautiful, Christine. And what's your story? Why are you with us today?
I'm curious, very curious, to see what's happening outside my country, to see what's happening outside Denmark.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
This is the perfect place. Francesca's from Italy, but currently she's in London. Glenn, born in New Jersey, lives in LA. And I'm usually in New York City. Today I'm in Chicago for some work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're all over this globe right now. So tell us more about you. What do you do? What's going on in your life?
I'm a therapist, a psychotherapist, and a coach. And right now I'm studying under Bob Proctor. Do you know Bob Proctor?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm doing some lessons on that. And then I do hypnotherapy as well for my clients. Yeah.
So how do you describe, because you're a professional in both areas, how do you describe the difference between psychotherapy and hypnotherapy?
Hypnotherapy is better to get people to go inside themselves, to keep quiet and heal more in a quiet sense, instead of being so what you call it, upset. If you are in therapy, you could be it could be quite upsetting, but if you are in hypnotherapy, it's more relaxing and healing. You can heal some things that you can't do in normal therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Really interesting. Yeah.
That's a great way to put it.
Both valuable.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how come do you do this? Do you have this mission, Christine? What brought you here? As we love this question, the 3 of us, we always ask about this because it's important to understand the journey that brought you there.
Yes, I'm just really curious to hear more about you guys and see what you could do. What can I learn from you, and what can I teach you, basically?
Sharing knowledge, basically.
Yes, sharing knowledge. That's
I
right.
can. I'd love to share something actually based on what you said. You talked
Yeah.
about hypnosis being a relaxed state.
Yes.
Do we enter hypnosis through relaxation or through anxiety?
It's not one or the other. We all go through hypnosis. You drive your car, for example. If you drive your car home from work, you don't know how you get to your home. You can't remember. You haven't noticed the traffic or anything, what's happening. So therefore you are in self-hypnosis, I call it. So you can't really say it in that sense, I say. I could explain it with that you don't know how you get to where you want to be.
So you said it. You don't know how. There's a confusion factor to it. It is our job to create a sense of confusion or anxiety to bypass the thinking mind that would otherwise fight you, so we can slip the messages in that the person is wanting to create change, right? So when we do your typical talk therapy, it's going to bring a lot of understanding, isn't it?
Of course, yeah.
I often say that 99% of the time when we enter therapy for the first time, we already know. So at some point,
we all know the answers.
At some point, we then take what we know and we make a difference with it. So Glenn, if entering the state of hypnosis in order to create change, you do this on the street, you do this on the stage, how do you describe that process? What are you actually doing?
Yeah, so there's two ways, or there's two processes for entering the hypnotic state. The shower method, if we're not going to use that anxiety confusion state, is a very long progressive relaxation. Just close your eyes, drift down deeper, feel calm, and it takes a lot longer to get them there with the progressive relaxation, and sometimes they don't even get there in that same space because it's a longer process. So using hypnotherapy, especially street hypnosis tactics and stage hypnosis, it is to create a state of confusion by using convincers to then suggest them to go to that same place where it might take 15 minutes on a progressive relaxation to get them there in 2 minutes or even 1 minute by exciting their imagination with a challenge. So many different types of challenges that people watching may not know, but you guys know, and I do them all the time. Things like, your hands are coming closer and closer together like two magnets, and your fingers touch and they get tight. And then I give them a suggestion of, now when I count from 3 to 1, your hands are becoming like glue. When I get to 1, there's nothing you can say, think, or do to remove them. And then we give them a challenge of, the more you try to move your fingers, the less you can move them. And all of a sudden, they feel stuck and they're confused. And right there is the moment that we utilize to drop out of fight or flight for that minute when they can't move their fingers, or that minute where their eyes are stuck and they can't open them. They're in that, the fight or flight's been activated because they're confused. And then drop them into sleep, and then we're good to go. So those are kind of the two ways. So like when we were taught in school, and I really understand this now, with what makes hypnotherapy different from traditional guided meditations is that ability to activate fight or flight to create the calm state afterwards versus just a long guided meditation. So that's a long answer to that short question, Sandy.
But so many amazing things you said. We use the fight or flight to get to where we want to go, which means when people have stuff going on in their life that they really don't like, the stuff they want to run away from or fight away, we can actually use those states to launch people as an opportunity into what it is they do want. So no matter how bad you think your life is, the better the springboard now to get you where you want to go, right? So Glenn, I'm curious, since we have an expert from Denmark who does this to others all the time, can we put you on the spot? Maybe you can give us an example of how this actually, like in real time, maybe a live hypnosis?
You want me to do it?
No,
Christine, yes, let's do it.
No.
no, Glenn.
Why not? I can be the client if you want, guys.
Glenn, all right, Glenn can put his money where his mouth is, and then we'll keep you on, Denmark, and then Glenn will explain the sort of secrets of what he did after he did it.
Well, Francesca doesn't. It never worked for Francesca. She doesn't like to listen to me. Two, she doesn't like to be told what to do from me. So she's much more receptive to you, Sandy.
It's not true. I feel so relaxed with them when I do hypnosis with them. Of course, I'm truly aware. As we know, as Glenn is very difficult to be hypnotized, I am too, and it's very obvious.
But I'll tell her, I'll say, Francesca, raise your right arm, and she'll lower it. I'll say, lift your left arm, she'll put her right arm.
Or sleep, and I will open my eyes in 1 second.
But listen, for people listening in or watching in, this is a really perfect conversation, because how often do you guys get people in your office who say, I'm that person who can't be hypnotized?
Yeah. Well,
and no matter how it looks on the outside, when you've got a real pro hypnotizing you, they know exactly how to get in, how to, they know exactly the subtleties, and they can look at muscles in your face and eye movement and your heart rate and your breathing, and they can understand that it doesn't have to look like someone who sits on a stage and acts as if they're scared of pretend aliens that aren't there. It doesn't have to look like that. It is simply scientifically bypassing the critical factor of the mind. And we can do that in waking state. In fact, didn't you use that as an example? You're driving, you get there, you don't know how you got there. You are in a state of hypnosis. If there's a problem, there's no problem. But if there were a problem with that, the problem is it's happening by default. It's sort of happening by accident. What we want to create for everyone who is interested in getting to a more elevated place in their evolution, we want you to start doing this by deliberately rather than by default. We want you to do it on purpose. And the way we create the on purpose state is sort of through these examples that we're giving. I'd love it if one of you experts would like to give an example of how we do that in such a smooth way, like a magician. People don't know it's occurring. Come on.
The more spontaneous it is, the better it is, yes, also. Like now,
Let's bring somebody on fresh that wants to be hypnotized, and I'll do that right now. We can bring a fifth person on. So anybody out there that wants to come on and try a little fun.
Maybe Jackie.
Send a request to Francesca, and we'll bring you on.
Jackie, happy week after your birthday.
Said it. Oh yeah, that's right. Jackie had a birthday. I think it was last week. So anybody that wants to come on and have a little fun, just PKS 70. Do a request to Francesca, or Francesca can maybe.
And we're gonna let you in.
She'll let you in. Do a request. Come on, we'll have some fun.
While we're waiting, I do have a question, since we have a lovely guest here, and thank you so much for joining us. How do you know when to use typical talk therapy and when to shift to hypnotherapy?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah. First of all, I don't do it for the clients when they come in the first time. I always plan it with them so they know it in advance before they do it. I'm an NLP therapist, so I have learned that we have to plan it with the client, so they always know if we have decided that we're going to do a hypnotherapy. Yeah.
A good
so I prepare them. Yeah.
A good salesperson is hypnotizing somebody without them knowing it, and I don't mean breaking any ethical codes.
No.
But there are ways of communicating. So you talked about driving from A to B and you didn't know you got there. You're in a state of hypnosis, you are awake, you are alert, and you are driving. So hypnosis doesn't have to look like any particular thing. It's just a state of mind where you bypassed the part that would otherwise boot out the method. And it can look like anything, including walking and texting.
It's very interesting.
All right.
And most of your clients, Christine, which age do they have? They're most of them are young or adults. What's the average age of?
It's very different right now. I have a sports girl that wants to be professional sports person. She's only 14, and then I have quite a few men. There's middle-aged men. There's leaders, and. Not a lot of women, actually. Most men and kids.
Your 14-year-old. Your 14-year-old who. Your 14-year-old.
It doesn't work, Glenn. I'm trying to accept her,
Check
but
the request.
Your 14-year-old who is having an issue breaking through that ceiling of maximum potential. What are the current belief systems in the way, and what would be the new belief systems to get her to that higher level?
What she believes that some of the other kids are teasing her in this group. It's ice hockey. Ice hockey. Do you know ice hockey?
Yeah.
It's hockey on ice that she plays, and she's a girl, and she's playing it together with the boys. She's going training with the boys because she's so hardcore. Normally there's a boy group and there's a girl group, but she is on such a high level that a manager has asked her to come and play with the boys as well. And they see her as negativity. They don't say come in and join us. They're bullying her. So we're working to that, and I'm teaching her to think on the inside and not listen to what they say.
So what is the current belief?
The current belief is that she's a strong and independent young girl to become a woman.
That's the desired belief. The current belief is
that the current belief is that she's stronger. She's stronger than she believes.
Well, are you trying to convince her that she's weaker?
No.
The current belief is that if we were to just take a video of this young woman playing, and we didn't know if she were playing with the boys or playing with the girls, there should be no difference. It's just a young woman playing, right? So the current belief is in the story about girls versus boys. It's in the story of what the bullies tell her, because she has a belief that that the conditions have control over her. So she's handed her power over, but yet trying to prove her power.
Yeah, you could say that in some sense, yeah.
So what is the current belief? It's not in strength. That's the desired belief.
Yeah. The current belief is that she doesn't believe in herself. She believes that she's a good hockey player, but she doesn't believe that she's as good as the boys.
And yet she's trying to prove that she is as good or better. So she's fighting her own. That's her inner battle.
Yeah,
she's saying one thing, believing another. So let me give you an example that's completely unrelated, so it's easier to digest. There are people who will ask, how do I come out of the closet? How do I tell people I'm gay, right? And what happens is often what they'll do is they'll say, you've seen this in the movies 1,000 times. You'll see them go, Mom, Dad, sit down. I got to tell you something. They are lacing that message with shame. And then they get upset when Mom and Dad shame them. Right?
Yeah.
So they're approaching
it. Double up.
Yeah, they get mad at Mom and Dad for shaming them, but they've laced it with shame within the message. Mom, Dad, right? So how we approach a situation is what we're aligning with. Now listen to this. The situation, this is for your young woman, the situation cannot create the emotion. It is always the emotion that creates the situation. I would work with her on getting out ahead of it. If she starts to feel the discomfort with the bullies, with the I got to prove something to the boys, that's where she's at. Start there. That's real. And that's where we start to let that be an opportunity to trigger what is it that I do want, and then start associating the breathing that you give to her, hypnotically associated with calm and empowerment, not overpowering. Empowerment is not overpowering. Empowerment is calm is confidence, which is empowerment. Less fight, more leverage. Get out ahead of it. Your emotion is going to create the situation. When I came out to my family, I didn't know if I just got lucky maybe, but I called my mom. I said, Mom, great news. You're not going to believe what I just figured out. Guess what? My mom was very not okay with it. Now we're going back, 30 years ago. She was very not okay with it. And at that time, I wasn't a therapist or anything, at the time I was young. I said, Mom, listen, people go to therapy their whole lives because they think maybe they disappointed their parents. You just flat out told me you're disappointed. And I want you to know, Mom, I love you, and you can take all the time you need. Because I never made how I feel about their reaction, and that's the space I would work with your girl.
Exactly, yeah. You're right.
Also, the comparison part, we shouldn't compare our strength to someone else, because we all have different strengths and inner strengths. So it's not the right approach to compare.
Oh, I want to spend a week with you guys. You're fantastic.
We have a lot of fun. You
are too, because you're doing an amazing mission at the service of people, Christina. This is a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Do you do most of your, are you mostly in person or on Zoom? Where do you do most of your clients?
When the corona hit, I had quite a few clients from that were being sacked. Do you call it sacked in America, or is this a British word? Do you know sacked? Quit. That they sacked them. They told them that they're laying off people at IBM. So I had I started off with doing it seriously at the corona time, and I had 25 clients from IBM that were sacked to start working with, and then I moved on from there. So I'm a new therapist. I used to be a clothing designer, so it's all new.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. So you went from one area of creating to another area of creating.
It's still creativity.
Yeah.
Creativity. I can't say it now.
Creativity within mindset. Beautiful.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, well, we're here every week, so always check in. Tell us we like client stories. We like to hear analogies of people that you work with, to share some very positive things and experiences. You know, I define at its most basic form hypnotherapy as making someone feel an emotion and then giving them a suggestion. That's
really good
foundation of hypnotherapy for me.
But
good. Can you explain that more?
Who did you study under your hypnotherapy education?
Sandy and I went to the same college, HMI College of Hypnotherapy. That was our starting place. And then after that, I think I've learned from every hypnotherapist out there. I've studied so many, including a book from the 1800s. You know, I've learned so much from people, but the basic of hypnotherapy, and we do it to each other on a daily basis. You make someone feel an emotion, and then you give them a suggestion, and quite often that suggestion will stay with them and change their state and change future behaviors just from feeling an emotion, hitting a suggestion. That's really the foundation of everything we do.
Glenn, if the only thing we get out of today is what you just said, it is the greatest thing anybody can use to change their life, actually. Can you just explain that more?
Well, I'll just show you. I think Sandy and I did this on one of my favorite talks we ever did. Let me demonstrate hypnosis in just one moment. Sandy, look at me. You are absolutely radiant and a beautiful soul and a human being. Smile, you love your life. That was an emotion and a suggestion, right?
How can we do? Thank you. How do we do that? How do you tell somebody who's watching or listening? How do we do that for ourselves in a genuine way, not in a I am lovable and capable fake way?
Well, I think the most real way is every time we get up and we look in the mirror to stop for a minute, practice a moment of self-care in what you say to yourself and in what you believe about yourself. One thing I do a lot is change the way we understand our lives, where instead of looking at our lives like we have a series, the mirror exercise, love it. Instead of looking at our lives like we have a series of problems are negative, challenges are positive. And understanding that you still can love yourself. And you can treat yourself with love and respect, even if you have challenges in your life. And challenges are good. They give you an opportunity to grow. But if you look in that mirror and you see defeat and you have self-talk of, I have so many problems, that's exactly where you're going to stay. So it isn't just the power of positive thinking. It's much more than that. To really shift your focus to understanding life is a series of challenges to go through and overcome. And the only time you stop getting challenged is when you transition out of this life. So challenges are there. So why not love yourself?
Also, yes, Glenn, and the challenge must be there because we can see, as it happens to us too, that we also give each other self-suggestions that can be also negative, and that's because we still have to deal with bad emotions. So it can also be the other way, and I believe there is nothing negative with it if we can transform it for the good. So sometimes self-suggesting bad emotions can also help us dealing with it. Since it's so repetitive, there must be something that we have to deal with. So we hypnotize ourselves every day. So if we recognize the process, we can switch on for the positive.
This is so powerful. I want to zoom in on step 1 of what you're talking about. Open that up. Step 1, you say that you do the negative self-talk. That's right, because if there were no negative self-talk, there's nothing to work on. So step 1 is I'm doing negative self-talk. I want everyone to know that when they catch that, don't try to change it. That's the perfect moment to recognize, I already know that I deserve better. That's why this doesn't feel good. And don't try to force any message. The negative self-talk is an indicator of your worthiness. Did that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
I know that I love myself because right now I'm upset about this thing and I know I deserve better. Really cool right there. And all of a sudden now...
It's not about deserving, sorry Sandy if I interrupt, it's not only about, I believe, deserving better, it is about why. We ask ourselves why certain things, and then of course we always go deep into the other side to understand. But then, so it's not about only do I deserve it, it's also understanding why. Just
what is the why? If you were to talk through in your mind, what is the why? How would you
the
say
why
it?
for me is to understand the other one's process for certain things that can. So sometimes acceptance comes from knowing the truth, but the real truth, why certain things are happening, and acceptance comes from the truth. If there is no truth, there is no acceptance because there is this continuous understanding why. So to know the reasons is also very useful to accept them.
The 14-year-old client, sports girl in Denmark, would say her why is because I'm bigger, better, stronger, something in the positive realm, right? I am a strong woman and I'm representing strong women. She would believe that's true and it's a false premise. And so she cannot bounce from there because that's not the truth. The truth is that she's believing stories of bullies. The truth is she's giving her power away, yet trying to tell a story of empowerment. So she'll never get to the place of growth unless or until she understands that the why that she's been saying is not true.
Exactly. So if she understands this, she would get over it. But exactly, yes. So that's why I believe going deep into the truth of things, negative or positive, doesn't matter, help people to understand and accept and move on in general. And
so if somebody's watching or listening and they're not going to come to one of us for hypnotherapy, but they really do deserve and desire help, how do we help someone right now look into their own why and understand if it's even really true? How do we do that? How do we know if it's true?
I think of those.
If it's felt, it's true. Something, any emotion is true. So if it's felt deep in, it's true. At the moment being, of course. I believe.
But also, what was that book, Sandy? I know you know this book. It's those 3 questions. Is it true? Is it absolutely true? Do I
Wait,
know?
Is that Byron Katie?
Is that Byron Katie? Is that what it is?
Is it?
She has yeah. It's 3 questions.
Maybe something like that. Something like that.
It's
go on.
Basically when you have that thought, a negative feeling or a belief, and it's asking yourself, is that true? Is that really true? And how do I know that really is the truth? And when we do that, we get out of our immediate knee-jerk reaction to the emotions that we're feeling. And what Francesca says about going deeper So when you have a triggered emotion, going deeper underneath it by examining it. All right, what is this emotion? Is it really true? How do I know this is all that there is to it? And then you go a little deeper and you find out maybe what you thought you were upset about isn't anywhere close to what you were really upset about. Then you can release it, move through it, and let it go.
It's important to go deep. Otherwise, of course, we have our immediate reactions to it, as we all have emotions and feelings. So that's why the truth can transform, but it's important to deal with it and to go deep.
Ready to take everything you guys just said and make it so easy? Because Francesca basically said it, so I'm just parroting what Francesca said at this point. When you say it, check in with your emotion. If it's negative, then you know it's not true. Because a negative emotion means the way you're seeing it, thinking about it, is different than how your inner being sees it. And your inner being, I don't care what your religion or non-religion is, your wisest self, your knowing self, the part that knows you're worthy, right? Your inner being is always and only, no exceptions, the voice of compassion.
Yeah, always.
See, there's a lot of words when you join our podcast here. A lot of words getting thrown around.
Fantastic. It's lovely. It's lovely. A lot of discussion, a lot of, I've learned a lot. Thank you.
Do you have a question?
Or something you want to share on that? You can share your perspective on what we were just talking about.
It's what you're saying is, of course, some of the stuff I'm already using, but what you're saying is, of course, I have to ask more into this girl so she could let go, so she doesn't believe the boys. Basically, I'm thinking.
She has to believe in herself, apart the voice.
Yeah, exactly.
Because everyone will always say the voice, but I believe the more she will go through it, the more she will get this stress. If she avoids it, she will never get to that point.
Yeah, exactly.
Will you check in with us at a later date so we can follow her story and evolution?
Yes, I will.
And before we let you go, you did say that you perhaps had something to teach us. So I know you already had something in mind. I would love to learn. I would love to learn something from you.
I would love to teach you something. I'm trying to think what I could teach you. But then we have
You've been teaching us an amazing thing, Christine, that it's never too late to reinvent yourself and to give love to the world as you want to.
Yes, I would love to give love to the world and help everybody. Yeah. I'm not sure what I can share others than that story with you and can teach you. Because you guys are all already, you know so much about this. If you told me you wanted a new jacket, I could sew you that quite easily.
Well, here's a specific question. Somebody just asked. It's going through the feed, so I can't see it anymore. They asked about bipolar disorder. Knowing what you now know,
yes.
What would you say to someone's question? What about bipolar disorder?
What I would say about bipolar disorder.
How do you respond knowing what you now know?
Of what we've just talked about, you're thinking, yeah? I would respond in that sense that I would say, don't forget to ask into the question, not to the question, the problem, why she believes these boys, for example, that she's not good enough. Or if that
because maybe her parents, for sure during this childhood phase, it's about the parents. I'm sorry to say this, but the parents are the main figures in these scenarios. So for sure she has been criticized and judged by the parents so much because maybe she's too sensitive, they don't know, maybe she's not understood, and so they do it for her good, but they're not doing her good, and so she's in this process of feeling judged by anyone and everything.
Yeah, she hasn't got contact with her father. And we're working on that part as well.
Now.
So, yes. Of course, there's always something behind. There is the father. The father is a big issue. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's ask you a different question. Somebody said, I have a 12-minute presentation coming up. I have a 12. What's your advice?
I have an answer right here. I was pulling up a photo. Here is a great example. So for those of you, Sandy, you've sat behind one of these a million times. Maybe or maybe not this size. Let me get a good photo up. All right. So, God, there's a lot of echo in the background too, huh? We got some echo noise today. All right. So, Jackie, you ready for this? This right here, right? This is a mixing board that we do in the studio. So, when we look at this mixing board, right? People go, oh my God, that's so many knobs. There's so much going on there. I'll never understand it. It's very overwhelming when you look at it. But when you understand something else, when you understand that, it's so hard to zoom in now with these. Let me zoom this in more. When you understand that literally this is one lever and one channel repeated about 30 times. If you learn one, just one, then you know them all because they're all the same. So when we look at this, if we look at all these knobs, it's overwhelming. When you realize it's one row repeated 30 times and each row does the same thing, all of a sudden it's not overwhelming. When you public speak, what happens is people walk into a room of various sizes and they see everybody and they get overwhelmed. Like, oh my gosh, I have to entertain everybody. I have to present to everybody. The only person you have to present to is one person in that room, just like that channel on a mixing board. So when you walk up, you find one person that feels safe for you, energetically, smile-wise, happy-wise, and you present to one person only, and you're done.
Brilliant on so many levels, Glenn. That was so right on. That was so right on. And you know what you made me think of, because you and I talked about this a lot. Remember we talked about you can work somewhere for 20 years, right? Those are the 20 pods, right? You can work somewhere for 20 years and have 20 years experience. Or you can work somewhere for 20 years and have 1 year of experience 20 times over. That's an actual flip of what you offered. Because what we want, it's a flip, but it's the same concept. What we want is we learn one and then the rest get taken care of.
Yes. Yep, just one channel is all you have to do.
Yeah.
When you do that, what happens is when we're inexperienced and we haven't trained ourselves, we tend to look on the people that aren't paying attention, the people that aren't involved and that are frowning, and we let them take our energy away instead of focusing on that one positive vibration. So when I do my Zoom lives, and I have one coming up on Saturday, sometimes I'll have 85 people last one on my Zoom call. And if their cameras are on, some people are very engaged and some people aren't so much engaged when I see them all. And I make sure I have 2 or 3 people that are always on my Zoom calls. And one, I call her my indicator of light. And I focus on her face. And if I know she's smiling, I'm saying the right things. If I see her expression, and I know if she's getting it, then everybody that needs to get it is going to get it. And I don't worry about everybody else whose camera might be off, or some people are distracted or maybe doing some other things. And so I use that myself. So find your indicator of light, Jackie. That's all you have to do.
Based on what you're saying, which is so good, Glenn, what I would offer to our 14-year-old girl that we're talking about, who plays better with playing with girls and worse when she's playing with boys, but she wants to beat the boys, right, for various insecurity reasons. So in hypnosis, you can just have her visualizing all of her confidence, all of her clarity, especially clarity, because clarity is empowerment, because then she's got space to make decisions, many options. I would have her visualize her playing in a game with other girls, being, of course, the best one, the biggest fish in the sea. And while she's maintaining that state for a while, I would simply keep her in her beam of light, remove the girls, and replace them with boys. So I would, right, that's getting out ahead of it. So I would have her visualize that space of easy clarity and then go back and forth and remove it until she doesn't feel the difference anymore. That might be a good.
Yeah.
That's
quite
cool.
with positive energies, because maybe at home she's feeling that way, in the class she's feeling that way. She must be surrounded by people that are supporting her, pushing her up. Because of course you are a therapist and it's not enough, because of course she opens up, but she needs friends that push her up. So maybe, dear Christine, you can suggest her to go to places where she can meet new friends and open her mind to feel secure within her environment.
Thank you.
Yeah, really cool.
Well, always come back, check in with us, share with us your client lessons, because it's good for everybody to hear
Thank you
those. We're
so
here
much
every
for
week.
your time. You're fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Christine, for coming live with us. So nice to meet
Thank you. Thank you for letting me.
Of course.
All right. So did that other person ever check in to want to come back on to be hypnotized?
Yeah. The problem is that we couldn't accept her. 17. It's not possible.
Got it. Okay. Well, so that, it's loud. I think the echo was coming from that other room, huh? Now it's much quieter.
Hi,
Hello there.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. This is my first time, by the way. I've never tried hypnotherapy before, but I've been so fascinated with what it's all about that I decided to just go with it.
I love it. Where are you? What city?
And yes, it's taken a lot of courage.
It does. Where are you? What city are you in?
So I actually live in Dubai, but at the moment I'm visiting my parents, so I'm in India.
You're in India.
Wow.
Amazing.
Amazing.
You might be one of the most magnificent people I've ever looked at. You're just like, who are you? What do you do?
You glow.
Thank you. During the lockdown, I decided to help out by helping myself and decided to study to be a life coach, but I'm still exploring many more avenues, and that's what drew me to hypnotherapy. And you guys are just so amazing, and thank you for offering these lives because they're really insightful. So thank you so much once again.
You radiate inspirational leader. Yeah. You radiate that. And the fact that you used, I think you used the word but, and or at least that's how I took it in. You said, I help people as a life coach, but I'm still seeking help. You said something like that. And you already know, but I just want to give it back to you so you have it double, that what makes you such a good life coach is you're a student the whole time.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. That's really kind.
Absolutely. Very, very true. Yeah, we are always here to learn, even as coaches. We never stop. Tell us your story.
Absolutely.
So where are you in India exactly?
Oh, in New Delhi, the capital.
Ah, wow. And do you love also cooking with all these amazing spices, which are very hypnotic, in my opinion?
Yes, it's a very colorful country with a lot of beautiful food and wonderful people. And I think there's just, COVID has been such an experience that, I went back to studying after 35 years. I'm 52. So that was a challenge itself, to try and, get back into education. And what an experience. I just wonder what was holding me back all the time. And of course, I know the answer, it was me. But having said that, sometimes one does go into doubt. So I have doubts around the fact that how convincing am I to people? Do I really need to convince them at all? Or is it just that one needs to listen and just feel more? And we all have our own struggles in everyday life. So how does one not constantly go into overwhelm and stay in the moment?
Guys,
that's so many.
Because life goes very fast and things happen so fast. So it's normal not to be always present in the moment, I believe. But yeah, it's very important.
What's your name, by the way? We don't know your name.
Payal.
Say it one more time.
P-A-Y-A-L. So a payal is an anklet. But it's an auspicious anklet to wear around, and it's specially worn during weddings. And it was in the olden days, it was worn by all the queens and the princesses I have no idea why my parents named me that, because it's supposed to be something which has a very delicate sound to it, and I feel that I'm rather noisy most of the time.
But I'll give you a great exercise. In this, I took a lot of inspiration from Hypno Guru India. Remember him? He came on a couple of whiles. So, all right, so Kyle, sit up. Sit up. Get your feet flat on the floor. Put your hands on your lap and sit up. I just want you to close your eyes for a second. So you talked about that question, how do we be in the moment, right? So now, if you were just to take a moment and listen to my voice and focus on your breath and breathe all the way in and all the way out. Make the breaths deep so we can all see them. Breathe in even deeper now. And breathe out. I really want to see your body expand. Bring in more air, even deeper, right into the bottom of your diaphragm. Breathe all the way in and all the way out. And just keep focusing on your breath. And as you hear my voice, you're going to realize something. The more I ask you to focus on your breath, the less you can think about yesterday. And the more I ask you to focus on your breath, the less you can think about tomorrow. Because breath happens unconsciously. It's a job of your subconscious mind. However, your conscious mind can also control your breath. And when we choose to consciously control our breath, we have no choice but to stay in the present moment. Now, the more you focus on my voice and the more you focus on your breath, you can still find there's thoughts that are coming and going. You might find you're still thinking about something you did yesterday or something you did tomorrow or something you might have to do a week, a year, a day from now or yesterday. But none of those thoughts will be as important when you focus on your breath. Now, if you shift just for a second from your breath to your feet, and just feel as if your feet are radiating to the floor. They feel like there's no air between the bottom of your feet and the floor. It's as if all the air has gone and your feet are directly on that floor. Now, thinking about that, you realize it's a very important thought to always be where your feet are. Because if you are always where your feet are, you can't be in the future because your feet haven't arrived yet. And you can't be in the past because your feet are no longer there. And just thinking about your feet right now, you have no choice but to be where your feet are in this present. And there's power in the present moment. There's power in the presence of this moment. Feel that and let that take you deep. And I know that listening to my voice right now, you're already understanding what this means in words I haven't even said yet, because you have your own words inside that have already connected to what you've heard. And perhaps the meaning you've made out of it is so much more than I've even expressed. But I want you to make an even greater meaning to understanding how to be exactly where your feet are. And just maybe, at the same time, you can take this a step further. And just maybe you can relax your eyes so deep. You can relax your eyes so comfortably that they just won't want to work. In fact, just relax your eyes so comfortably where they won't open, knowing you're in complete control. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to test your eyelids, but don't test them until you're so sure they will not open when I count to 3. 1, 2, and 3. And once you've proven it to yourself, you've done it correctly, you can stop trying. And just let the quality of that relaxation wash over you. From the very top of your head, all the way down to the bottom of your toes. Realizing how amazing your imagination is. The fact that something you could normally have done you no longer can do by simply having a new thought. And then you might even think about something you can do now that you haven't done in the past by understanding the power of that subconscious mind. You might even feel your head become a little bit heavier. You might even feel your shoulders drop down even more. As I count from 5 to 1, just let go. Let it all go and feel that calm state of relaxation. 5, feeling your shoulders drop. Arms becoming so heavy. 4, feeling even heavier now, letting go. It's almost as if your arms no longer belong to you. 3, deeper and deeper. Feel the weight of your arms, muscles releasing, relaxing. It's as if your arms are loose rubber bands. They're made of rubber. It's almost as if you've forgotten how to move them because they're so heavy, they don't want to move. 2, in the same way your eyes were so comfortably stuck, you feel your arms are so comfortably stuck, and you love to see how powerful you are, because by the time I count to 0, there will be no way for you to lift your arms. Next time you look at your hands, they won't even feel like they're yours. They belong to someone else. It'll be most curious, but it will be so fun to realize you can't move your arms from 1 all the way down to 0, locked down, 1,000 pounds, so heavy. Now, the next time you open your eyes, you'll realize your arms are stuck. Prove it to yourself you've done it correctly. Eyes open, smiling, arms just won't want to move. Now you can open your eyes and realize you can't move your arms, and it's going to feel so fun. Eyes wide open, arms so heavy.
Wow. This is so simple. And this feels so good. This is like I was instantly grounded. That's exactly what I needed.
Yes, yes,
Thank you
yes.
so much. This was just so amazing.
Okay, now close your eyes
Wow.
again. Close your eyes down for a moment. Close your eyes down. Now also, I'm going to explain the Francesca moment right here. So, I know Sandy caught this, and Francesca, I know you did too. Sometimes when English is not your first language, the suggestions I give mean something different.
But
So
no,
she felt,
it's not because of this, because I did my course in English. It's about me really relaxing, and I believe I hypnotize myself. So you don't have to take it personally. It's about me. It's not about.
Yeah.
He's
Well,
going
but
somewhere with it. Listen.
I'm going somewhere. That was the start. That wasn't an end thought. That was the beginning. So when I told her to relax her eyes, they couldn't open. She did. When I asked her to experience the feelings of your arms not being able to lift, she experienced them in her own way being heavy, but she didn't take the suggestion in that she wasn't able to lift her arms. That was my point. Like when we work together and have fun, it's about how we take in this suggestion. And generally, I find this to be true when English isn't their first language. Does that make more sense?
No, it's not about the language. Hear me, guys. Sorry.
It is, at least in my experience.
Yeah.
In my experience, when English isn't their first language, some of those suggestibility tests are different. That's what I.
It's the same in Italian. I would love to see me in Italian. It's even worse.
Yeah.
Here's how
No,
that
it's about-
works for
But let me take her out though. We're talking
Exactly.
a lot.
I'll put a case. Let's leave me out.
So Bayal, you've heard a lot
Let's
of
put.
noise
I can
in the
hypnotize
background.
myself.
That
That's
noise-
it.
Okay. That noise will fade away. Even though you heard a bunch of noise, you heard a bunch of voices, they don't matter. You're still feeling so calm and wonderful inside. And in a moment, I'll have you open your eyes. But before you do, go back to that suggestion in your mind when we talked about your feet and the air being gone between the bottom of your feet and the floor. And you felt so grounded and so connected. Feel that again. And remember what it is that I didn't say when you thought about something that you could not do, that you will be able to do, because you taught yourself how to not be able to do something that you could do. Something as simple as opening your eyes when you couldn't can teach you right now that there is going to be something now. And I don't know what that is. Perhaps there's many things, but there will be so many more things you will now be able to do that you weren't, because of the power that you just showed your subconscious mind that you now have to control the different parts of yourself. And now every time you look at your feet from this day forward, you will smile and be happy, loving your experience. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, eyes open, wide awake, feeling amazing. Back with us again. Okay.
I could live a few hours like this. This was so much fun. This was so
Vile,
relaxing. Gosh, this
you
is just
recognize-
amazing. Thank you so much once again. I'm so glad I was here. I'm so
Yeah.
glad I volunteered.
It's all love. It's all fun. It's great.
Did you recognize, Vile, that the second time he had you close your eyes, even with other voices, distractions, other thoughts, there was a knife through the energy? You felt it? Did you realize
Yes,
you went twice as deep? You went twice as deep after that? Did
Yeah,
you
I felt
recognize that?
no resistance whatsoever. My body, my
Let that be a
mind
lesson.
was totally in the present.
Let that be a lesson to you and everybody who's listening or watching. When we feel there are things in our way, when we feel there are things that are a distraction or different from our own energy, we can still, when we align our energy with the compassion that is really who we are, and that's what you're basking in right now. I didn't know you could glow more, but you are. When we are aligned in that, we actually have the ability to go deeper, because we're even more focused on what it is we know to be true. Now that you are currently in that deeper state, I have a question for you. My question is your question. What do we do when we experience, let me put it in a different way, what do we do when we interpret something as overwhelm? What is your answer? Because you know the answer.
We ground ourselves, we stay in the present, and we offer ourselves comfort.
Well, Master, it looks like when you have bypassed the critical factor of your mind, you have access to your highest wisdom. Thank you. That was perfect.
Yeah.
And also,
Good job.
I believe it's also about the connection that you have with Glenn, because hypnosis doesn't work with everyone, so it's also about the moment. And what's your favorite way of induction, since you want to become an hypnotherapist?
Or could you repeat that? I missed it.
Your favorite way of induction?
Have you started doing hypnotherapy yet?
Induction.
No, but I
okay.
think...
Okay. Then you will tell us. I'm very curious.
Yeah.
Based on what your comment, Francesca,
Yeah.
earlier when Glenn was saying that maybe they don't necessarily interpret that the arm is stuck down, but something is going on. If somebody's watching or listening and you are a new hypnotist, keep in mind that when somebody, we'll call it, misinterprets your suggestion, that's not a bad thing. In fact, it's a good thing, because they're using inference. They're making it their own, which means they're having their own internal process.
Exactly.
That's the only way they can learn anyway. Don't give up. Don't let go when you see somebody misinterpreting your suggestions. They're taking in their own suggestions. Nothing could be better.
Yeah. Yep. And with that,
So who are you talking, Sandy? I don't. Anyways, yes.
I'm saying that to anybody who's watching or listening who's a new hypnotist and may be afraid, oh God, I told them their eyes are stuck down, but then they opened their eyes. I told them their arms are stuck down, but then she lifted up her left arm, right?
Yeah.
So
No, but Glenn is
understand.
very precise and is right. But hypnosis is not that it doesn't work to everyone. Sometimes people truly hypnotize themselves.
Hypnosis works for everyone, definitely, for sure, with 100%.
Yeah, not necessarily with someone. We can hypnotize ourselves too.
yeah.
Because we all get hypnotized all the time. It works with everyone, and a good hypnotist understands the difference.
But some
Yeah.
people hypnotize themselves, so they don't need this hypnosis with someone unless it's to go deep within the knowledge of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you said, I heard you say two things, and now what you said now made more sense than the first thing that I heard you say. So, because initially you said hypnosis doesn't work in everyone, and then you said, because
No, it doesn't work the same. Sorry, with everyone.
the same. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
It works differently on everybody. Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So don't we have
Vile,
fun
you
here,
see how
Vale?
much we love each other? You see how much we get along?
I'm just taking it all in. It's really truly a fascinating experience for me. So I'm just taking it all in. I'm feeling so relaxed at the moment that you guys can go on. I'm in my own little world at the moment.
This space that you're in right now is the space I'd love to see created for the 14-year-old girl we were talking about earlier. So no matter what's going on around her, she stays who she is. Look at how this woman is glowing. Oh my God. So, what a state you're in.
Sandy, did you notice, since knowing you now, I've become much more inferential and less literal? Did you catch all my...
I legit was in my head going, he's going direct and inferential at the same time.
Yeah. Yes.
It was do this, but the this that you were saying was inferential. It was brilliant.
Yes, I've become a lot more inferential after listening to Sandy and stop being so literal. Sandy's really good. Sandy's really good at saying something else other than what she wants to say in a therapeutic way. So she'll say things very indirectly when she means something else to get to that point. And that's a very beautiful linguistic skill to have. And it really sits well with a lot of people, because most people don't like to be told what to do. They don't. But if you offer them another way to a different point of view, that can be a beautiful road met with no resistance.
Stimulation, yeah, like it.
And so,
do you realize, Bile, Glenn literally just did that just now? You were doing what you were saying, and you were doing it. You just created that right now. This is so good.
That's the beautiful way of it. And so Francesca, you don't think that it's because of the language, how they interpret my suggestions? You think it's something else?
No, because I tried hypnosis with in Chinese, in Spanish, in English, in Italian, with a Sicilian guy, with many different. For me, it's I have my senses are truly awakened when I do hypnosis. It's not about the language; it's about me. Do I want to react to any suggestion or not?
I'm going to make you both right.
Yeah, hear that.
I'm going to make you both right.
So it's about my awareness of it, which I'm a big fan of hypnosis, and I love my imagination, and I love to hypnotize myself as I did along my life. And of course, only doing the course, I realized the techniques and why I was doing this automatically. But I believe I wouldn't do it, if I don't like the hypnotherapist. That's why I did it with you guys, because for me it's also about trust, but it's also about me. The way I react, if I want to listen,
you're both right.
Not.
The reason you're both right is because what Francesca's saying is I have a personality. Doesn't matter where I'm from. I have a personality that has to interpret my own way. I have to be in control of it.
No, I don't have to be in control of it. I'm never in control of myself. I lose control. Actually, it's the opposite. And I believe I let it be all the time.
Thank you. So Francesca is saying that it has to be interpreted Francesca's way for whatever the reason, and I agree. Glenn is saying one of the reasons it can be interpreted differently is language. So it can be interpreted differently as language. It can be interpreted differently as a person who takes inference more than literal. So there are many ways somebody can misunderstand a suggestion. Regardless of the reason, it still occurs. And for new hypnotists who are watching, the fact that it occurs is a good sign, because your client is making it their own, and that's our intention anyway.
Yeah, beautiful, yeah.
One of your key phrases, though, Francesca, and it shows you are aware in that state, you said, I choose what suggestions I respond to, right?
Yeah, so but it's not even to go against your suggestions. It is about me following my feelings at the moment and following your suggestions. So maybe my feelings with your suggestions, they merge. As you know, I'm always present within myself, but I also let it be, following both. That's why I believe every person reacts differently to hypnosis.
Yeah. So if I were hypnotizing you now, Francesca, and I have hypnotized you privately, what I would do is I would say to you, and as your mind can choose to follow the sound of my voice, or maybe you've already noticed that it's drifted off, of course, let that happen, because as the thinking mind drifts, it just removes resistance, and it allows for that most profound part of your mind that makes change, even especially beyond conscious awareness, to notice that the thinking, smart part of the mind could follow every word and define it. Or perhaps you've recognized that the unconscious mind has already understood the emotional intention behind every word, and therefore, as smart as you are in knowing what it is you desire, your mind is capable of drifting and at the same time choosing only one word from everything I've said, the one that aligns most closely with your evolved intention. Because you had insights during this conversation, didn't you? Maybe ones that you thought out loud or ones that occur to you later or even...
Absolutely, but I believe we all can do this. It's about...
and as your mind, the smartest part of your mind that knows things that I can't know, you're knowing them right now. You could even say them out loud as I speak. That part of your mind can find one word in what I say that most closely connects with your true intention. You can even trace that word with your finger down your spine. And the place in your body where you know it's going to make that change, and press a button for all the relief to get let go from that part of your body, maybe you already did that.
Yeah.
Because only you can know, Francesca. Only you can know how you will double or even increase your response to these hypnotic words based on the one word you now know you've chosen.
You're putting Dale back to sleep.
Yes.
So what happened?
Magic of Sandy talking. Yeah.
Glenn,
no,
what
I
just
totally
happened
visualize
there?
it.
What were we doing there?
Visualization.
Well, you were trying to show how you would work with Francesca. She wasn't really listening, but that's okay. But
and what was this sort of sleight of mouth that was occurring within
it was all inference to try to go around resistance. But there is such a, before I got to go in a second, but there's such a good point that I want to bring out.
With the intentions.
What you said, Francesca, it's so important for every hypnotherapist and every therapist to really be aware that even if the person, and I'm not saying this is you, but even if the person comes to you for a problem that they want to fix, maybe they are not ready to listen to that suggestion, and they're going to accept some of your suggestions, and they're not going to accept some of your other suggestions because they're not ready yet.
No, I'm sorry, Glenn. It's not about being ready. I believe when we want to feel and having it as real, the suggestion you're saying, I need to believe in it. I need to agree with it. Otherwise, I'm just dependent on you, example.
Yeah.
So I need to be aware of it. Exactly. So it's about timing. It's not about...
No, that's my whole point. That's exactly what I'm...
And what you said is genius. Very true, Glenn.
Yeah. You said it better.
I want to put the button...
Yeah.
I want to put the button on this lesson here, and then I know everybody has to go. If I were to take the inferential language that I just used and do it very direct, what I did was a double bind. And what the message I was giving her was, since you said you're smart enough to know better for yourself than anyone else, if you're really that good, you can find one word in what I'm saying that works for you because only you can know. So it was a double bind, because if she can't find the word, it makes her sort of not know herself and not be as confident as she is about who she is. So the double bind is, if you're smart, you can catch it. If you're not smart, you can't. And since you say that you're smart, you can catch it. So that's the hypnosis. I made it appear as if she was in control, but I was guiding the entire conversation toward getting her to grab a word and make the change.
Yeah, but the change comes, as we know, within us, and it's not about me knowing more than the other one, or the other one knowing better about me. It's about...
what you are so perfectly doing is arguing for what I just said. Therefore...
No, it is about, as Glenn said, in my opinion, is about the timing of having the same suggestion, feeling, merging, believing in it. So we can be suggested of many things. If we don't feel it internally, it doesn't work in the everyday life.
Yeah.
You are exactly saying everything we were just talking about.
Exactly.
If you're a new hypnotist watching or listening, go back, listen to the inferential language, and notice the double bind in there.
Yeah,
and that's just for
so we all agree.
Okay.
Amazing. Yeah.
Good. Good.
All right, I got to run. Bail,
1 hour and 10.
Good to meet you. Thank you for joining on and hanging out with us. We'll see you all in a week.
Amazing conversation. I love you guys.
Me too. Bye.
Bye.